Week 9, college football. Let's start with this one, Ted. Number 2, Ohio State travels to Happy Valley to take on number 13, Penn State. That'll be Fox Big Noon kickoff, 11 a.m. Central. Ohio State is a 15.5-point favorite currently. That's a big line. I know that Penn State got smacked by Michigan. I understand, Ted, but that number, I was like, dang, it's a little disrespectful to the old Nittany Lions.
It is. It is. Ohio State's just kind of been that good. Now, they haven't really been tested all that much, so I think we will learn quite a bit about Ohio State here, but I don't know. I think it benefits Ohio State that it's an early kick. That place gets wild there at night. I mean, I'm sure with 100,000+ people, it's always going to be loud, but think that is a little bit of a benefit for the road team. Maybe I've been influenced too much just by watching the highlights of Ohio State run through a bunch of teams that aren't that good, but I just feel like the amount of points that they're going to be able to put up against Penn State, they're not going to be able to answer that.
Yeah, when you look at the stats, especially on paper, you're like, well, Ohio State's going to smack them, right? And when you line these teams up position by position, I mean, you're taking Ohio State's guys, right? But for whatever reason, Penn State plays Ohio State tough. Now, they haven't beat them a lot here recently, but they've played them pretty close. And I still believe home field advantage makes a big difference in college football. I'm not saying Penn State's about to go out and win this game. I don't think that's going to happen. But I certainly don't trust Sean Clifford enough for that to happen. But I do think it could be a game that, we're looking at it. It's at halftime. We're like, really? Penn State's down 3? That's it? And maybe it's even close-ish going into the fourth quarter. But I expect C.J. Stroud, those wide receivers to make plays. I do think that Penn State's defense has struggled to stop the run. I think Ohio State's going to attack that offensively with Williams and Henderson. That's quite the duo they got there at running back. It's Ohio State's biggest test of the season. I think they're going to win the game, but if I had to bet on it, I'd probably take Penn State and the points because they've just played them close for whatever reason. I don't really know.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, I don't know. I think I have a bias against Penn State only because of their head coach.
Not a big James Franklin guy.
Not a big James Franklin guy. I love the uniforms. I love the stadium. I love a lot about Penn State, but I do not like their current head coach. And I don't know. I do agree that we may look up at halftime and be like, hey, it's 2017. Penn State's hanging tight in this thing. And then you find out the game ended up, 49-17. Right?
Yeah.
With Ohio State, the way that they can just pile it on you so quickly. I think I would differ. I think if I had to go one side or the other, I think I'd go with the more consistent team, and that's been Ohio State, but I don't have much of a strong feel other than I feel like Ohio State's going to win the game. The cover part, I don't feel as strong about.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right, let's look at this next game. Number 9, Oklahoma State, traveling to number 22, Kansas State. This game will be 2:30 on Big Fox. And Kansas State is a 1.5-point favorite there at home. Maybe the most important question is who the hell is going to play in this football game?
I know.
I mean, both teams, they got a bunch of banged up guys, and it's not just, it's both sides of the ball for both teams. Especially you look at Kansas State's situation. I don't know if Adrian Martinez is going to play or not, right? It doesn't sound like Chris Kleiman knows either. They're resting him early in the week, and they're just going to see how he responds. Deuce Vaughn's banged up. Daniel Green, their best linebacker's banged up. Their two best defensive backs, Josh Hayes and Julius Brents, banged up. Felix and Udike Uzama has been banged up pretty much the entire season. It's one thing when you got, starters banged up and you're having to play a couple of backups. K-State's best players are all hurt, which is not a good recipe when you got a really good football team, which that's what Oklahoma State is coming to town, Ted.
Yeah, it's really hard to make any type of prediction in this game when you don't know exactly who's going to play, and if they do play, like what level of play are you getting out of those guys?
Right.
That's difficult. But here's the thing, man. I think what Oklahoma State has done has been impressive. But if you just take the Texas game, for instance, if they play the way they did at home against Texas, they do not beat Kansas State, especially in Manhattan. To get a punt blocked and I know it didn't hit him. I believe it didn't hit him. But to have a muffed punt where possession is turned over and to throw an interception in the end zone going in, you don't beat Kansas State if that happens. The game is over. You might when they block the punt in the first half, you might as well just say, hey, we're jumping on the buses, guys. We're heading out of town. So that's the thing that worries me is for Oklahoma State, they have to play mistake-free football or Kansas State will not let them off the hook. It just won't happen.
I agree. And let's not forget, they also gave up two big-time punt returns to Xavier Worthy in that game.
Yeah.
They gave Texas great field position. Like, special teams were a bit of a disaster for Oklahoma State in that game. And somehow they found a way to get it done. They do that. They make those special teams mistakes against Kansas State. They're going to lose by 2 scores.
Yep.
But I do think you look at Kansas State defensively, a lot of banged up guys, right? And Duke, that guy that's playing their nickel spot, I think he's out for the first half because he got ejected for targeting. So I do think Oklahoma State's offense could be the difference in this game. I'm not issuing my apology to Will Howard quite yet, right? I know he looked great coming in the TCU game, but Will Howard could come back down to earth in this game if he has to go for them at quarterback. But I just can't believe I'm going to say this. I trust Spencer Sanders to go get it done, man. I do. I like the way that they're playing offensively. If Kansas State's defense is that banged up, I know that Kansas State's going to try to shorten the game, right? Whether it's either guy at quarterback. I just think Oklahoma State's offense is a little more reliable. I think they're capable of producing some more explosive plays in the passing game. I trust Spencer Sanders.
And clip. I've got that recorded and clipped.
My name is Gabe, and I trust Spencer Sanders. I really do, but you mentioned it. They cannot make as many mistakes as they did against Texas. That's a great way to get smacked in Manhattan by the Wildcats. But yeah, I think when I look at this team, both of these teams, I go, okay, who do I trust? Well, if Adrian Martinez is significantly hobbled, which it sounds like he's going to be, then I trust Sanders more than anyone else.
Here's the other thing.
Crazy to say.
I know. Here's the other thing. Oklahoma State was not good against the run against Texas. Texas lost the game because they stopped running the football against Oklahoma State. I will assure you, Kansas State will not stop running the football. It really doesn't even matter what the score is. That's what they're going to do. They're going to run the football. So if Oklahoma State doesn't get some things figured out there against the run, and it's a different style. It's going to be a little bit different, and there's a reason why Texas, the way they can spread the field on you vertically and everything, that makes it difficult. But Kansas State runs the ball as good as anyone in the conference. So if you are having a really tough day stopping the run, it's going to be a long afternoon in Manhattan.
Yeah, could be a fun game, though. Huge implications when it comes to who is going to be in the Big 12 title game.
Which are, I guess, technically Oklahoma, mathematically, are they still alive? They just need Kansas State to continue to lose, right? Or is it
still
dead?
alive? No one has been eliminated from what I can tell just quite yet. But
so
yeah,
you're still rooting for Oklahoma State though to win.
Yeah, I guess Kansas State's schedule right now, tough stretch for the Wildcats. All right, last game. Number 19 Kentucky travels to Knoxville to take on number 3 Tennessee. This game will be 6 p.m. on ESPN. Tennessee currently a 12.5-point favorite. I feel like I know Josh Heupel well enough to where he has been, I'll just say it. He has been a complete asshole about his team not looking ahead to Georgia.
Yeah.
I feel confident in saying that. They're not going to be looking ahead to that showdown next week. They're going to be focused on Mark Stoops' team. And I think that makes this matchup really, really fun because Kentucky, if you are not focused, that is the type of team that will punish you. So I'm really interested to see what Kentucky's approach is offensively, right? Because Will Levis, he's supposed to be first round NFL draft pick type of guy. Well, Tennessee's secondary has not been great, right? They have been susceptible to the big play. So does Levis throw it around, or do they maybe take more of a run heavy approach, right? With Chris Rodriguez and let Levis use his athleticism a little bit, or maybe it's a combination of all of that, right? That's probably what it'll end up being. But the fun matchups on the other side, right? It's going to be fun watching that Kentucky defense against that Tennessee offense.
No doubt about it. Here's the interesting thing. Like, to me, I think that betting line is absurd. Tennessee minus 12.5. I know they're at home, but here's the thing. And it's hard to it's hard to like really feel whenever this changeover occurs, but Tennessee is no longer the hunter. They're the hunted, right? They're the team that everyone is now gunning for. They were the long shot. They were the boy, if everything comes together, this team could be pretty good, but here they are, number 3 in the country, undefeated. And Kentucky's coming to town. So Kentucky is like, everything has flipped. Now Kentucky's going to be the team that is just amped out of their mind to go on the road and knock off the undefeated Tennessee. And because of that, I think it's going to be an incredibly tough game, close game. I think Tennessee wins it, but whenever you put special seasons together, there's games that you're the better team, but you get absolutely the best shot from someone else, and you just have to find a way to get it done. And I think this is going to be one of those games for Tennessee. I think it's going to be low scoring, and I think it's going to be incredibly, incredibly tight. Things just aren't going to click the way they have all year, and you're going to have to find a way to come up with a win.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned the low scoring aspect of things because I'm not sure people realize how good Kentucky's defense is. I mean, the argument can be made that this will be the best defense Tennessee's seen up to this point.
Yeah.
And I know they just played Bama, but that Kentucky defense, a lot of people think it's the second best defense in the SEC behind Georgia. So we'll see. One thing Kentucky has to do, they have to make Hendon Hooker uncomfortable. That is something that defense has really struggled with this year. They have not been good at getting after opposing quarterbacks. That has to change in this game, because if Hendon Hooker can stand back there and be comfortable and go through his progressions, it's going to be bombs away on that Kentucky secondary. So that's going to be one of the keys for me. It's like they got to make Hendon Hooker very, very uncomfortable if they want to slow down that passing attack from the Vols, because that thing has been humming.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And that's what makes them so dangerous. I mean, we all know that we've talked about it for years. That's kind of the critical part of this offense, and we've seen that with Levy, right? When the run game starts clicking, everything else works really good. I think Tennessee wins it, but they may have to come from behind late. They may have to manufacture some points or like some crazy big play. But I think the home crowd is going to will them to victory. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere again at Tennessee. That place is insane right now.
Yeah. And I think that's going to hope that may give that Tennessee defense a little bit of the lift it needs right now. They got to start playing some better football if they want to be a true contender at the end of the year. All right, let's